laws that limit access to contraception and to fertility treatments like IVF, laws that criminalize doctors and punish women. And we all know who was to blame. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is guilty.
Kamala Harris just gave an emphatic speech calling out Trump for his actions overturning Roe v. Wade and what turned out to be rather brutal. So let's take a look at what she had to say.
Over the past 2 years in states across our nation, extremists have proposed and passed laws that criminalize doctors and punish women. Laws that limit access to contraception and to fertility treatments like IVF. Even some of them trying to revive laws from the 1800s. Today in America, 1 in 3 women of reproductive age lives in a state with an abortion ban. Many with no exception even for rape or incest. Today, our daughters know fewer rights than their grandmothers. This is a healthcare crisis. And we all know who was to blame. Donald Trump.
What we saw prior or in the weeks leading up to Roe being overturned was Republicans swearing it wouldn't get extreme. Let the states handle it and they'll find middle ground that everyone is happy with. And since Arizona has tried to revive a Civil War era ban, Alabama has ruled IVF murder, stripping women of fertilization treatments. Missouri has blocked funding for contraceptives. Other states are trying to follow suit and do full bans. Multiple states have enacted total abortion bans, even in the case of medical emergency or rape victims, causing women to flee states just to remove non-viable pregnancies because doctors in their state can't. Children having to flee states or being forced to carry to term when they're sexual assault victims. This is what Trump wanted. This is what Trump got, and now he's forced to own it.
And how do we know? Well, as many of you know, I'm a former prosecutor, so let's just look at the facts, shall we? When he was in the White House, Donald Trump handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court because he intended for them to overturn Roe v. Wade. And as he intended, they did. So it was premeditated. Since extremist legislators across our nation have passed ban after ban after ban, he had accomplices. And Trump has not denied, much less shown remorse for his actions. Instead, he, quote, proudly takes credit for overturning Roe.
The Roe v. Wade decision directly reduced maternal mortality rates by 30 to 40% for women of color. Overturning it has led to a 7% increase in total maternal mortality for states with more restrictive laws. Those with licensed physician requirements had a 51% higher total maternal mortality. And for states with Medicaid funding restrictions, it's 29% higher. Researchers as well can estimate that a total abortion ban would increase maternal mortality around 21% and 33% for women of color. And this is the price that Trump and MAGA extremists are willing to pay to have total control over women and what they do with their bodies.
My fellow Americans, in a court of law, that would be called an admission. And some would say a confession, all pointing to the ultimate issue. In the case of the stealing of reproductive freedom from the women of America, Donald Trump is guilty.
When we talk about abortion, we need to realize the moral value is being placed on personhood. If we talk about rights, it's who gets rights, not what gets rights. If we talk about death, it's who died, not what died, because the moral value itself is on a person, not a human. The fetus being a life doesn't make killing murder. It makes killing, but not all killing is unjust. Most people agree that a family, for instance, has the right to end end-of-life care if the person will never recover off of machines. Most people agree with self-defense. Most most people agree with the act of killing in war. So invoking life itself doesn't make killing unjust. There's mitigating circumstances that either justifies or unjustifies it. Self-ownership is an important right for people to have. Without self-ownership is directly what enabled slavery. And in self-ownership, it is the right of a pregnant person to no longer be pregnant. Think of it like this. I have the right to life, right? We all do. I have the right to life. But if the only way that I could live was for you, specifically you, to give me your heart, do you have the right to say no? Of course you do. You'd be nice if you didn't, but I can't force you to do that. But for some reason, these extreme conservatives pretend that fetuses can force women to give them their body, their nutrients, and that's outside of the bounds of what constitutes the right to life. It's really the right to not be killed unjustly or interfered with the bare minimum required for you to live, but it's not to force other people to help you do so. And this is why we must keep Biden in office to appoint liberal judges to the Supreme Court, and why more importantly, even more importantly, honestly, a lot more importantly, we need Democratic majorities in Congress to codify Roe v. Wade in law. We need a supermajority, 60 in the Senate. Don't let the conservatives get in the way, so this can never happen to women again.